The night I decided to divorce Bella was completely ordinary. Nothing happened. There were no hysterical fights, no bitter curses. All that happened was her leaving me alone in a movie theater 1 second. And the next, she was posting in our alumni group chat, "I hear Leo's back in the country? Oh God, how many classmates are gonna leave their husbands for him now? Don't worry, they won't get a chance. Bella already picked him up." Image attached. In the photo, my wife was wearing a knee-length black wool coat, holding a bouquet of gardenias. She was wrapped in a tight embrace with the one that got away, her old high school flame. If you looked closely, you could see a tear rolling down her cheek. The day Leo returned, Bella didn't get home until midnight. She used the same excuse every cheating woman uses, ditching me right before the movie started. I wasn't completely in the dark. For 4 whole hours, a stranger had been sending me photos from an unknown number. I knew what they were doing and where they were. You could say I had a front row seat. So when Bella, looking exhausted, tried to feed me a weak excuse for the first time, I just patted her hand. I told her it's okay. She was clearly thrown off. She must have expected me to be difficult and clingy like before, to pout and demand she make it up to me with another whole day. She even had her scolding "you need to be more mature" speech ready to go. But it went unused. I took a deep breath, pushing down the sharp pain spreading from my heart. I said to Bella, "Go freshen up. I have something to tell you." The warm yellow light of the bathroom flicked on. A moment later, I heard something fall to the floor. Bella walked out and stood in front of me, phone in hand. She was back to her usual self, calm and composed. "Are you angry with me because of this?" She held up her phone, shoving the picture from the alumni chat in my face. "I wasn't being honest to avoid a pointless fight. You always lose your mind and act irrational whenever Leo is involved. Just like you're doing now." For the first time ever, I didn't get angry. Instead, I patted the spot on the sofa next to me, signaling for her to sit down. I pulled a document out from under the coffee table and handed it to her. "Don't worry. I won't be the person you hate anymore. Let's get a divorce, Bella." "You want a divorce?" My best friend from college, Mark, sat across from me, skeptical. "Seriously? I don't believe you." Couldn't blame him. After all, he'd witnessed my insane, obsessive pursuit of Bella. He'd even been there for the drunken nights at the bar after Bella and I had explosive fights about Leo, where I'd make him promise, "Don't forget to call Bella later and have her pick me up." So when he asked me again if I was serious, I told him flat out, "It's real. It'll hurt, but I won't regret it." He thoughtfully offered me a scalper's contact info. "I hear you have to book an appointment to get divorced now. This is the best guy on my friends list. He just started offering a service to grab divorce slots." I thanked him sincerely. Mark asked me what I was going to do next. Honestly, I didn't know. Just as he said, getting a divorce is hard, especially when one party refuses to cooperate. Bella said she had no intention of divorcing. The night I laid my cards on the table, she just packed a small bag and left for her office. Before she walked out, she was still convinced I was just making trouble over Leo again. She sighed, exasperated. "Daniel, threatening divorce over every little thing is irresponsible and childish. You're an adult now. Stop playing these games." How ridiculous. In a marriage that was supposed to be about mutual care and support, she demanded I be as independent as a stranger. Yet once a month, she'd take a long-haul flight to check on Leo, who was 3 years older than me, worried he couldn't take care of himself abroad. If I hadn't accidentally found out about it, she would have hidden it from me forever. That night, I lay in bed. I thought I'd be too sad and upset to sleep, but I ended up sleeping like a baby. I even dreamed. I dreamed of the first time Bella and I met. I was 18, fresh out of my college entrance exams. My parents couldn't wait to package me up and sell me off to the highest bidder. I'd resisted, but it was no use, so I eventually gave in. But I couldn't stomach 3 different dinner parties a day. It made me feel like I was a professional of a different sort, going from one bed to another. So while my parents were busy networking, I slipped off to the bathroom, shed the stuffy suit, changed into a simple white t-shirt and light blue jeans, and ran out along a small path. I saw myself as the runaway hero in my own grand escape, imagining light and hope at the end of the road. But I'd underestimated the mosquitoes in July. After just 20 minutes, the runaway hero was about to be sucked dry. My mistake. I forgot today's party was halfway up a mountain. That's when Bella appeared. The car window rolled down, and when I saw her face, I whistled internally. As two of the most well-known figures in the trust fund kid scene, I felt a sense of kinship with her. But while I was famous for being paraded on the marriage market, she was famous for falling for a scholarship kid. That night, two kindred spirits went a little wild. We got drunk on a bridge and shared our deepest thoughts on the side of the road. Some busybody snapped a photo, and it went viral. Before we knew it, we were engaged. We hit it off immediately. I helped her cover for her dates with Leo, and she helped me deal with my family's endless emotional blackmail. It gave me a chance to breathe, to rediscover my old passion for photography. During that time, the three of us really had a good thing going. So when did I start to see her differently? I think it was after Leo went abroad. I don't know how Bella's father found out about the three of us, or what he said to Leo. All I know is that, in the end, Leo got married. Bella was a wreck during that time, but she still managed to look after me. After she stood up to my parents one more time, who were suggesting I donate a kidney to some rich guy in Los Angeles, I said to her, "Bella, why don't we give it a try?" She gave a sad smile. "You want to date me?" I nodded. From that day on, I became her shadow. I did everything I could to see her. Bringing her breakfast and checking in on her were the small things. I wrote her love letters and declared my love from the top of Everest. I never once thought about giving up. Until our first wedding anniversary. I found out that she and Leo had exchanged rings and vows to God in a small chapel abroad. What did she say? She said I was just helping out. Leo's wife was too busy to attend the wedding, and it was a shame to waste the booking. We're just friends. If there was really something between us, why wouldn't he have married me after his second divorce? Daniel, I'm really over him. I believed her. I told her I believed the "I love you" she'd said to me at our wedding, so I'd give her 3 chances. After the third strike, it was over between us, whether she liked it or not. And this time was strike 3. The alumni group chat was buzzing with Leo's return. They were all pushing for a reunion. I went too, hoping to corner Bella. It had been 7 days since I'd asked for a divorce, and I couldn't get a hold of her. The divorce papers I sent to her office had vanished without a trace. When I called her assistant, she was always either out of the country or in a meeting. She wasn't that busy. She was just giving me the silent treatment, trying to force me to cave first. It was her signature move. Divorce is a war of attrition. Either you go to court multiple times, or you live separately for 2 years to meet the legal requirement. Even though I was prepared for a long fight, I wanted a chance to talk to her, to end this joke of a marriage as quickly as possible. They chose the old restaurant outside our alma mater for the reunion. As I arrived, I ran into Leo on his way out. The narrow hallway wasn't a good place to talk, but he stubbornly blocked my path. He lit a cigarette with practiced ease. "Getting a divorce, are we? You don't need to force her to choose between us like this, because no matter what, you're going to be the loser. It's been 7 years. How can someone still not know their place?" I was about to curse him out, but his expression suddenly shifted from provocation to pity, and he grabbed my hand tightly. "Mr. Palmer, you've misunderstood. There's really nothing between your wife and me. That was so long ago. I can't believe you're still holding on to it. I only came back to see my family and friends. I'll leave just like you want, but please not today. Let me save some face. I just want to have a meal with them. It's just one meal." I was stunned by how quickly he could flip his act. Suddenly, a hand shoved me hard from behind, pinning me against the greasy wall. Bella's jaw was clenched, a vein throbbing on her forehead. "Didn't I tell you to stay away from him?" I reacted instantly, slapping Bella hard across the face. Twice, I pointed a finger at Leo and said, enunciating every word, "You mess with me and I hit you, that's assault. And anyway, this whole mess is because of this woman. So from now on, every time you mess with me, I'm hitting her. Let's just see how many slaps that face of hers can take." I pulled another copy of the divorce papers from my bag and threw it in her face. I came here for a divorce. Stop adding your own drama. Downstairs, I paid the owner $500 for the security footage from the stairwell and immediately sent it to the Miller family's group chat. I didn't have time to worry about the storm that video would cause in Bella's family. Nor did I have any intention of crying to her callous relatives, asking them to back me up. Instead, I swiftly moved out of the home Bella and I shared. As I see it, neither marriage nor divorce is a game. Once you make a decision, you should make a clean break. Wasting energy on pointless drama only makes you look like you're playing hard to get, casting doubt on your sincerity. The small 3-bedroom apartment was a property left to me by the nanny who raised me. It was also my secret sanctuary. Bella and I had once explored every corner of this place, lost in pleasure. Back then, she held me and said forever was too far away, but loving me for a lifetime would be enough. Now, our ending was no different from most other couples in the world. After the tedious work of moving, I lay on the sofa and started Googling Leo. We had both been jewelry design majors, but in the 7 years after he left Bella, he'd switched careers to become a theater actor. Starting from a small theater in London, he had worked his way up and was now a minor name in the industry. He had a social media presence, and his account wasn't hard to find. Nearly 1 million followers and signed with an MCN. He had posted several vlogs about his return to the country to build hype for his first livestream shopping event in 3 days. At that moment, I was incredibly grateful for my habit of documenting my life. I opened my notes app and my cloud storage, picked a presentation template I liked, and methodically compiled every single post-marriage interaction Bella had with Leo in chronological order. It was beautifully done. 4 years of Bella's monthly round-trip tickets to London, their matching sets of ski gear, and for every one of Leo's birthdays, a number of gifts corresponding to his age. The logic was clear, the evidence impeccable. Anyone who saw it would praise them as a loving couple. Then, the second his live stream started, I posted it. A trending topic with Bella's and Leo's names shot to the top of the charts, followed by the keyword affair, and a bright red exploding tag. Leo's first live stream, which he expected to be a goldmine, ended in a humiliating disaster. As expected, my phone was blown up with calls, especially from my father-in-law. His shrill voice was so piercing it gave me a headache even through the phone. I wouldn't normally tolerate him, and today I was in no mood. I took a deep breath and roared into the phone, "You old bastard. Who do you think you are?" Then I hung up and blocked his number, all in one smooth motion. Bella's father never really liked me. He just didn't have a choice. After all, his daughter's options came down to Leo or me. Our first fight was because of him, too. We were newly married, and he loved to stage surprise inspections, bursting into our home at all hours, regardless of the occasion. He was endlessly critical of me, but I put up with it for Bella's sake. Until he slowly uttered, right in front of me, I much preferred Bella's previous boyfriend. That was the first time he witnessed what I was capable of. I started screaming, kicking and punching as I drove him out of my territory. From then on, I refused to attend any of Bella's family events he was at, leaving him to endure the ridicule and scorn of others. That night, I was miserable, buried under the covers trying to sleep it off. Bella rushed back from the office, walked into the bedroom, and just watched me for a long time before finally speaking. "Daniel, you lost your temper with my dad." I stayed silent. Bella got angry. She dragged me out from under the covers, her tone half threat, half lecture. "Daniel, that's my father." I grabbed whatever I could reach and threw it at her. So what? So what if he's your dad? Do I have to just take it? Even when he deliberately brings up Leo in front of me. Later, I came to my senses. She just wanted me to apologize, right? Fine, I'll apologize. In the dead of night, I drove my car, in my pajamas with my hair a mess, and slammed it into the gate of the Miller family's old estate. I was still holding a fruit knife. I grabbed her dad by the collar and sped all the way to the airport. Shifting gears and flooring the gas, I calmly said to him, "You regret it, don't you? I'm taking you to the airport right now. I'll buy you a ticket. How about you go bring him back yourself?" Her dad clutched the grab handle, trembling and huddled in the passenger seat. He told me, "I'm sorry. I was wrong." He was just moments away from being shoved into the departure terminal. After that, my reputation in the Miller family was ruined. I was petty and vindictive. I would not allow anyone to get their kicks by putting me down. Bella's call came much later than her dad's. I could hear the exhaustion in her voice. The moment the call connected, we both held our breath, neither of us speaking first. After what felt like an eternity, I heard her sigh on the other end. Then, she called my nickname softly. "Daniel, stop this." In that moment, I suddenly realized that Bella had never respected me. Not in our marriage and not now. She was convinced that my demanding a divorce and all the tactics I was using to get it were just desperate attempts to save our marriage. My love had been too overwhelming, too obvious, and it made her reckless. I thought for a long time, organizing my words before I spoke slowly. "You're actually pretty proud of yourself, aren't you? You've got the one that got away by your side, and your legally wedded husband is having a meltdown trying to win you back. You have a home on both sides of the planet. Bella, you can't be this trashy and pathetic." She seemed infuriated by my words, her voice dripping with a mix of anger and amusement when she finally spoke. "Daniel, I promise you, your place will always be yours. I will always come back to our home in the end. Just stop harassing Leo. You have no idea how much trouble you're causing him. Everyone is at their wits' end. And how is that my problem? Whether it's being made a joke in the alumni chat or getting slammed online, isn't that something you two brought on yourselves? I refuse to stand by while you two act all lovey-dovey in public, only to have a self-destructive meltdown when I can't take it anymore. I want him branded as a despicable homewrecker from the very beginning. I will not let him make a single cent off your name." Bella and I were locked in a cold war with no end in sight. As if to spite me, she started attending numerous galas with Leo for days on end. He was her plus one. They looked like a perfect, intimate couple. A friend reached out to mediate, telling me how hard Leo had it. There's nothing between them anymore. It's just that their breakup was so brutal. They have some unresolved issues. He's had a tough time abroad these past few years. His first marriage left him with nothing but a kid. He was just trying to make some money for his child with the live stream, and now because of you, he owes a ton in breach of contract fees. Daniel, your wife is already an amazing woman. Be the bigger person. Make it easier for everyone. I cut that friendship off on the spot. Then I asked our now mutual friend to go convince Bella to just let us part ways amicably. Finally, I wished that his wife would also find a special friend like Bella. That earned me an earful of curses. As the end of the year approached, the Miller family's useless traditions multiplied. I had no desire to go back with Bella for those pointless family dinners, but her grandfather called me personally, so I had to bite the bullet and go. Grandpa Miller was a good man. My wedding with Bella had been a chaotic mess. My own parents' behavior, trying to sell off their son, had earned the scorn and disgust of Bella's extended family. Besides my friends, almost no one stayed to the end. Only Grandpa Miller, humming the wedding march, clapped and smiled as he congratulated us on becoming husband and wife. As luck would have it, my car and Bella's car met at the entrance of the old estate. Leo was in her passenger seat. They both wore the same cold expression, but Leo's had a hint of contempt. After getting out of the car, Bella's hand hovered protectively near Leo's waist as she leaned in to whisper something in his ear. If this scene were a painting, I would be the awkward outsider, ruining their perfect harmony. But I've never been good at enduring quietly. I rushed forward, grabbed a handful of Leo's hair, and yanked him backward. The Miller family must really be down on its luck. Even trash like this can walk in through the front door now. Bella's face turned ashen. She grabbed my hand. "What are you doing?" "Dad invited him. We have business tonight." I wasn't scared. "So what?" "I don't care if it was your dad or your great-grandfather who invited him. I still do it." We walked in together. Bella, as if afraid I'd do something else to Leo, stayed glued to his side. The various relatives of the Miller family were scattered around the living room. Bella was busy checking Leo's head for injuries while I stood isolated to the side. I really hated the Miller family estate. Even though the lights were bright and the place was spotless, I could feel a sense of decay in the air that just wouldn't go away. Bella's father sat among a group of his sisters-in-law. When our eyes met, he looked away guiltily. But then he saw Bella beside him and suddenly sat up straight. He was dressed to the nines today, and his voice was louder than usual when he spoke to me. You haven't even walked in the door and you're already causing a scene. No manners. I smiled. I was going to ask you. Bella said you invited Leo. What, are you trying to copy your wife? Get the husband and the lover together for a Happy New Year celebration? Bella's mother had more than a few lovers. One year, during the Lunar New Year, everyone was insisting on staying up to ring in the new year, so she just gathered her entire family and all her lovers for a truly horrifying celebration. It made her husband so sick with rage he was bedridden for months. My comment must have been too scandalous. All the relatives held their breath, none daring to be the first to break the tension. Bella's father fiddled with his prayer beads and spoke slowly. Don't be so petty, always focusing on what goes on in my daughter's bedroom. Think bigger. I invited Leo here today for serious business. You ruined his live stream the other day. As an apology, I'm having Bella give Leo the endorsement deal for the YILAI brand. Finished, he even asked me with false sincerity, Daniel, you won't be mad, will you? The moment he said it, my heart seized. I gripped the bottle of freshly opened red wine on the coffee table. I couldn't tell if it was indignation or heartbreak. All I knew was that I was so upset my heart felt like it was about to pound out of my chest. I stared at Bella, gritting my teeth. Whose idea was this? She stood up, wanting to walk toward me, but Leo grabbed the corner of her shirt, forcing her to stop. Her father added slowly, have some sympathy. It's not easy for Leo to raise a child as a single father. Everything costs money. Who told you to be so petty and cut off his income? And you? I looked at Bella, questioning her. You agree with this? Her voice was firmer than anyone's. Daniel, I owe him a lot. I want to make it up to him. The moment her words fell, the wine bottle in my hand flew toward her head. Someone screamed. The bottle shattered, and it was impossible to tell what on her was wine and what was blood. Hatred exploded inside me. Everyone knew that YILAI was a niche jewelry brand under the Miller Corporation. It was her wedding gift to me, and now YILAI was being sacrificed to her old flame, used by her father as a weapon to humiliate me. In that instant, I changed my mind. An amicable split? To hell with that. I wiped the sweat from my hands, remembering Grandpa Miller was still waiting for me upstairs. I took a deep breath to calm myself. I walked over, squeezed her father's shoulder, rearranged the shawl that had slipped off, and said to him gently, Dad, I don't hit my elders. That would be impolite. But you just love to provoke me. So what should we do? I'll just hit your daughter. I've said this to Mr. Chun, too. If I hit you too, it's illegal. If I hit her, it's a domestic dispute. I hope you all get that into your heads, because it's really tiring to have to remind you over and over again. I felt the body under my hand tremble. Beside me, the women I called aunt began to scold me for being out of line and rude. One of them had married into the family from Los Angeles. She told me in her broken English that I was fierce but also stupid. Son-in-law, men are cheap, just good enough is fine. Grandpa likes you, have a baby, and everyone will be happy. With red-rimmed eyes, I told her that before I decided on divorce, I had thought the same thing. But somehow, the moment the thought appeared, I suddenly saw the marriage certificate we had framed in our bedroom. She had been so busy with work back then. No time for a honeymoon or wedding photos. She was filled with guilt, pulling me onto her lap, hugging me tightly, and saying sorry over and over. I still remembered her, wearing her gold-rimmed glasses under the dim light, writing out every single invitation by hand. Perhaps because we had once genuinely loved each other, these flaws were unbearable. I went to see Grandpa Miller. His health had been poor since winter, and he rarely appeared in public anymore. The caregiver told him what happened downstairs. He nodded at me, his face full of approval. Good. You can protect yourself. He gave me a lot of money, as well as jewelry and properties from his collection. I asked him, is this a voluntary gift? I'm divorcing Bella. If you ask for it back after the divorce, I'm not giving it back. He laughed so hard that tears came to his eyes. What the hell does it have to do with her? This is just for you. I know she's wronged you. I have so many children, and I know you're good to me. I just feel sorry for you too. Fated to meet, but not to be. I still remember when you were getting married. Her eyes were shining, just like I remember her as a teenager. She was blushing, so shy, saying she was marrying the boy she loved. Daniel, I'm old. I can't look after you anymore. All I can do is give you this and wish you all the best in the future. My father-in-law's abuse and Leo's provocations hadn't broken me. But Grandpa Miller's soft-spoken words made me fall apart. I cried so hard, asking him, Grandpa, why did it turn out like this between us? Grandpa Miller patted my head. She's not the right one. Don't cry for her anymore, right? I wouldn't cry for her again. The day Leo was officially announced as the brand ambassador for YILAI was New Year's Eve. As soon as the clock struck midnight, every LED screen and billboard in the city switched to his poster. A netizen asked, "So the original husband lost?" I replied from a burner account, "Still fighting." The word "still fighting" instantly shot up the trending topics. Countless users flooded the brand's account with comments. "Can't even argue with this. The guy's got receipts. How long is this dude going to keep selling? If I had this kind of persistence, what couldn't I achieve?" After the announcement came a series of brand live streams. YLAI's target audience ranged from students to white-collar professionals. Before, the story of my love with Bella was its best brand advertisement. Under my management, YLAI had even established a men's foundation, using a portion of its revenue to help men of all ages overcome difficulties. Now, countless men who had purchased YLAI products began to support me. They flooded the live streams, leaving comments during Leo's broadcast, openly boycotting the new ambassador. I don't know if it was a PR strategy or Leo's own idea. During the stream, he pretended to accidentally read some of the hateful comments aloud. His eyes reddened, and at the peak of viewership, he forced a smile and choked out. Just because someone speaks first doesn't mean what they're saying is the truth. I admit, I once had a relationship with Mrs. Bella Miller, the CEO of Miller Corporation. We were young then and very much in love. We planned to get married right after graduation and take our wedding photos in Iceland. But in the end, the man who became the groom was Mr. Palmer, who used to follow me around saying he wanted to be my best man. The truth will speak for itself. I don't want to keep being attacked. But some things are in the past. Let's not bring them up. The tide of public opinion turned in an instant. I was going to use the timestamps on my saved intimate photos with Bella as evidence to refute him. But when I logged into my cloud account, it was completely empty. Everything was deleted. Bella, who shared a family account with me, had done it. For Leo, she had thrown me into the middle of a massive online mob. I was quickly doxxed online. Hordes of self-proclaimed vigilantes came to my old apartment building, splashing paint on my door and blasting obscene insults on speakers. Some even sent death threats. The day I moved into a hotel, Leo's car was parked across the street. He rolled down his window. Wearing sunglasses, he was no longer the frail figure he pretended to be in front of Bella. He flashed me a contemptuous smile, gave me the middle finger, and sped off. Mark, holding my portfolio, was gasping for air, furious. "You're not going to do anything to him?" Actually, the day after the public opinion fermented, I had already recovered the chat data that proved Leo was lying. But I suddenly had an epiphany. Why should I have to prove my own innocence? He was the one slandering me. He should be the one to provide evidence. All I had to do was collect evidence while the fire was at its hottest, and then sue everyone who had been recklessly abusing me online, along with Leo. So no rush. I'll make my move when the gossip has spread a little wider and the sentences will be a little heavier. I never expected to run into Lily in Los Angeles while sourcing a ruby for a client. It must be true what they say, unlucky in love, lucky in business. My jewelry studio landed a huge commission. A gentleman hired me to design a piece of jewelry for his daughter's 18th birthday. A July birthday. A ruby was the perfect choice. We met at the airport. I looked at her, surprised. Broad shoulders, long legs, a camel coat over a well-tailored dress. She was just as beautiful as when we were young, but much more mature. We hadn't seen each other in years, and there was a slight awkwardness between us. She touched her nose, embarrassed. Mark was worried about you. He asked me to be your local guide. We had known each other since we were kids. I could stretch the truth and call us childhood sweethearts. But after I got together with Bella, she didn't like me being so close with Lily, so we started avoiding each other and gradually lost touch. The night in LA was lit by spectacular fireworks over the harbor. She took me to find street food stalls. In a century-old shop, we were crammed into a tiny corner, eating our meals just a little too close to each other. The iced lemon tea was even more refreshing in winter than in summer, a single sip sending goosebumps up my arms. In the noisy, chaotic space, we both unspokenly avoided talking about our current lives and reminisced about the past instead. Is that boba shop by our high school's gate still open? It is, but it has a new owner. The decor is still the same, though. Really? I haven't been back in years. The old owner still asks about you. I go there for boba sometimes, and he asked me what happened to that kid who insisted on wearing a leather jacket with the collar popped in the dead of winter. Lily slurped her noodles, the tips of her ears turning red. I can't believe he still remembers that after all these years. Oh God. The cringiest things you do as a teenager always have someone to remind you. I teased her. It's your own fault for trying to look cool all winter, carrying your down jacket instead of wearing it. She put down her chopsticks, wiped her mouth and shot back. Not as bad as you, fishing all the principal's goldfish out of the pond to feed the vice principal's stray cats. In the bustling, lively shop, we laughed out loud at each other. Felt so liberating. I got a call from Bella's secretary a week after I landed in Los Angeles. She was worried but too proud to contact me herself, so she had her secretary ask when I was coming back. It was almost the Lunar New Year, and there were a lot of things to prepare at home. I had the secretary tell her that a divorcing couple doesn't need to spend the holidays together, and that from now on, she should contact my lawyer. When Bella heard this, she was helping Leo go over his second wife's will. The will mentioned Leo, leaving him a castle that was beautiful but useless. Whether he lived in it or not, the annual maintenance fees were staggeringly high. The legal jargon was dense and difficult to understand, so Leo had asked her for help. She had been at Leo's place from morning till night. It wasn't until 9 p.m. that she finally had a moment to put down the documents and hear her secretary relay her husband's reply. Let's stop here for today. She looked at Leo. He was wearing a white shirt, looking just as she remembered him, but she no longer felt any love for him. She suddenly wanted to see Daniel. She wanted to see her husband. She packed her things faster, not noticing Leo's stiff smile. As she was packing, a warm hand clasped her wrist. Leaving already? I promised the kids I'd video call tonight. Stay a little longer. She wants to say a few words to her mom. The child was an accident, and that night was an accident. Leo said the child was hers. To avoid upsetting the woman, neither of them had ever mentioned getting a paternity test. But the more he brought up the child, the more she wanted to see her husband. She left in a hurry. Her car came to a stop in front of her office building. She decided to work late tonight, free up the next few days, and then go to Los Angeles to find her husband. As for the divorce, she'd never taken it seriously. She knew her husband loved her deeply, knew he didn't have much family. The divorce was just a 7-year itch. A little coaxing and it would be fine. My driver's license wasn't valid in Los Angeles. For convenience, Lily had arranged for someone to drive me around these past few days. On the day of the auction, I got extremely lucky and won the ruby I'd been eyeing without much effort. After finishing the paperwork, the driver asked me where I wanted to go. Without hesitation, I said Victoria Peak. I needed to find some inspiration and clear my head. I found a random spot to rest and wait for the sunset, holding a hot chocolate. It was warm, but a little too sweet. I hadn't been sitting long, my hot chocolate not even finished, when I heard Lily's voice from behind me. Cold?
I'm okay.
We spoke at the same time. She motioned for me to go first. I asked her, tired? She smiled, looking at the sunset in the distance, and said, "Not tired." I didn't just want to ask if she was tired from these past few days, but if she was tired from all these years. Yesterday, Lily's mom had invited me to dinner. After our college entrance exams, she and Lily had left in a hurry, and because of my parents, I'd missed the chance to see them off. It had been a long time. Mrs. Lynn had a few more fine lines around her eyes than I remembered, but she was still as gentle and beautiful as ever. She was a sentimental person. She'd even kept many of my childhood things. "This is the first English award certificate you ever got. You said you wanted to thank me for tutoring you, so you gave it to me and even added my name to it. And this book. This was the prize you and Lily won for your community service project." She used to read it every night. She could almost recite it from memory. Mrs. Lynn polished the photo frame and said to me, a little unnaturally, "Lily's father and I met while studying abroad. It wasn't until after we married that I found out his family in Los Angeles was incredibly wealthy, with so many rules. I really couldn't accept it, so I divorced him and came back to Boston alone. I was in a bad place, physically and mentally. It was 3 months later that I found out I was pregnant with Lily. Looking back, being a single mom for all these years doesn't feel tiring. The year you took your college entrance exams, Lily's grandfather was very ill. The old man begged me, so we rushed back to LA. Turns out the old bastard clung to life and never died. He sent Lily off to the UK. We were so poor back then, we couldn't come back to find you. The next time we heard news of you, we saw your wedding invitation. Lily was going to confess to you after the exams. It's all that old man's fault, for not dying. You missed out on so many years. Mrs. Lynn probably thought I was divorced now, just visiting LA to clear my head. She wanted to comfort me but was afraid of making things worse. So she just pushed her daughter forward. "Daniel, if you're feeling down, just look at my daughter. It's not like she's had a boyfriend all these years. All the blind dates we set up for her have failed." I blushed and waved my hands at Mrs. Lynn. Finishing my recollection, I turned to look at Lily's profile. The sunset glow bathed her face, easily reminding me of the past. I told her to find 2 blades of grass so we could play the grass-pulling game we played as kids. She called me childish and competitive. Every time we played that game, you'd just grab my blade of grass and rip it when I was about to win. It's no fun. "Yeah, everyone says I'm competitive," I said, looking down at my shoes. "That's why I have to win against Bella. I can't let her find any leverage against me in this divorce." Lily understood what I meant. "Do you want me to introduce you to a top lawyer?" "No need, my lawyer is great too." I stood up and took a couple of steps, then looked back at her. "Let's go. Take me back to the hotel. I want to take a ride in the new sports car Miss Moneybags just bought." She muttered under her breath, "What Moneybags?" At the hotel entrance, Lily didn't get out of the car. We gave a simple wave and said, "See you next time." Just as the elevator doors were about to close, Bella suddenly appeared. I don't know how she found me. I just thought she must have lost her mind. When the elevator reached my floor, she dragged me out with a strength I couldn't fight, pulling me toward the fire escape. In the dim light, she trapped me between her arms, pressing her forehead against mine like an abandoned dog, sniffing my scent. "Having fun. Daniel, why didn't you tell me the truth? Weren't you here for work? Why was she driving you back to the hotel?" "Daniel, I want to lock you up. Lock you somewhere only I can find you. Then we can be just like we were before." I finally managed to free one hand and slapped her twice. I asked her, "Are you awake now?" She rubbed her face, her expression returning to normal after a moment. She stood up straight. "Moving out? Seeing old friends?" "Daniel, you've taken this too far. It's time to come home." I must have been too easy to please in front of Bella before. It gave her the delusion that no matter how big the problem, a little coaxing would just smooth it all over. She took my hand and pressed it to her cheek. As if pouting, she said, "You've gotten really good at hitting people lately. My face really hurts. I know what you're upset about. Me and Leo, that's ancient history. Giving him an endorsement deal was just to let him earn a little money. Can you please not hold it against me, hubby?" I pulled my hand back. "It's not about holding a grudge. That was something that should have been mine. Bella, you're a smart woman. You should know I'm not joking around. So stop playing dumb and making excuses for your cheating." Bella stood frozen. She took out her phone and swiped a few times. "The flight is at noon tomorrow. You're coming home with me." Before leaving, she gently kissed my forehead, and I pulled out my phone to call the police. "Officer, I've been assaulted." Thanks to Bella, I got to experience Los Angeles in the middle of the night. At the police station, Bella's lawyer kept trying to frame it as a domestic dispute, but the hotel security footage clearly showed her as the aggressor. The lawyer Lily hired for me consulted me on what to do. I said, "Drag it out. Keep her from going back to the mainland for now." The Miller family had the means to get her out, and I needed to use every second I had to go back and deal with that dog she was keeping. I bought the earliest flight back to Boston. As the plane was taking off, I posted the lawyer's letter demanding Leo return the marital assets and retract his defamatory statements. After landing, I went straight to my lawyer's office to confirm the information and file the case. At first, Leo didn't take the letter or the court summons seriously. He continued to attend events as usual, even proactively bringing it up in an interview. Mr. Palmer and I were both design students. In design, the worst things are being plagiarized and having your work stolen. But apparently, Mr. Palmer does this quite often. As the situation developed, a trend of insult Daniel Palmer started online. But none of this affected my mindset. The more viciously they attacked me, the more my inspiration flowed. I designed the ruby into a brilliant rising sun, surrounded by 4 or 5 similarly colored diamonds, held up by entwined petals. It was my most satisfying work in years. I submitted the final design to a jewelry design competition, but I didn't expect them to dig up my competition entry. Leo even posted a video, questioning the organizing committee 3 times about why they would accept a work from a person of low moral character with a history of plagiarism. His followers frantically emailed the committee, demanding they disqualify me. My attention was fully captured by his phrase history of plagiarism. Every one of my works is my child. For him to say that was a blatant insult. At the same time, the internet began to promote Leo's genius designer persona. That night, during his live stream, Leo held up a design sketch that was 80% similar to mine. He claimed it was his design from college, a birthday gift to himself. On camera, he called me out by name, branding me a despicable, low-life plagiarist. My texts, email, and phone were flooded with filth. And the client sent me a message. "Daniel, I need an explanation." They never expected that I, on a whim, had recorded my entire creative process. Probably because I was so satisfied with it. The whole process took less than 3 days, a total of 56 hours of video. I posted it online. Then I started reviewing my studio's security footage. The footage showed Bella's father had been there. He first stood at the door, trying the passcode several times. When it didn't work, he made a phone call. The call screen clearly showed the name Bella. I had changed all the passcodes long ago and had removed Bella's access from the studio's back-end system. And then, my studio assistant opened the door for him. The main door and the door to the safe where I kept my design sketches. Because Bella had transferred him $5,000. Bella's father took out my design, took several photos with his phone, then put it back and left. I released the raw and censored footage. The next second, everyone panicked. Bella had just gotten out of trouble in Los Angeles, only to return to Boston and find herself mired in another scandal. She accused me of being too aggressive. "Daniel, you called him Dad a few times. Don't you feel guilty for doing this to him?" I threw up my hands. I wasn't the one who told him to steal. I struck while the iron was hot, presenting a new divorce agreement that demanded Bella leave the marriage with nothing. After reading it, she gave the same reply, "I don't agree to a divorce." She acted as if she were making a huge concession. "I won't get involved with Leo's affairs anymore. If you want to hold him accountable, whether it's compensation or jail time, it's all up to you. I only have one condition: no divorce." Leo was there too. He gripped Bella's arm tightly. "No, think about the child. She can't have a father who's in jail." He even grabbed a box of tissues from the table and threw it at me. I dodged it nonchalantly. "Bella, you're in no position to negotiate with me. Either you leave with nothing in exchange for me not suing your dad, or you can wait for your dad to spend the rest of his life being pointed at and shamed. Bella's father completely panicked. He dropped all pretense and started scuffling with Leo. It's all your fault, he yelled as he fought. You told me to steal the design for you. You said you could make Daniel listen to me, you bastard. I put the choice in Bella's hands. Her posture was no longer straight. Her back was hunched, and she asked me with a slight tremble in her voice, Daniel, do you still love me? Love? All I can say is, Daniel in his early 20s, who still believed in fairy tales, wanted all of Bella's love. But 27-year-old Daniel, who had been through a failed marriage and betrayal, only wanted all of Bella's assets. I stopped loving her a long time ago, the day Bella transferred all her assets to my name and we were officially divorced. The internet was flooded with public apology videos from all my former trolls. My lawsuits were a resounding success. The dozens of people who were the most vicious, spread the most rumors, and stirred up the most trouble were sentenced to the maximum of 2 years in prison. The rest had to pay compensation and apologize. Some tried to use being young, poor, or a student as an excuse to escape punishment, but I refused to settle with a single one. Then some people popped up saying I was being unforgiving and petty. To that, all I could say was, why is it that when they were screaming insults at me, they wanted the whole world to hear, but when it's time to apologize, they hope only I know about it? As for Leo and the assistant who betrayed me, the former not only had to repay the marital assets and compensation, but also had to purchase the very necklace he had smeared. I will have countless more moments of inspiration. His life, however, has reached its end. The latter got 6 months. I pulled some strings to get them both assigned to the same prison block. I hope they'll take care of each other. Bella's father spent money and effort to bring Leo's child back to the country, only to find out 7 business days later that it wasn't his grandchild at all. I heard the shock was so great he couldn't catch his breath and was hospitalized for half a month. After the dust settled, I packed my things and decided to celebrate my triumphant divorce with a trip. On the day of my departure, I ran into Bella at the train station. She stood before me, dressed in an outdoor tech jacket, looking utterly exhausted. Daniel, give me another chance. I want to win you back. I thought for a moment, then held up my train ticket. In college, I always wanted to go to Tibet to see Lhasa. I wanted to see the Tsongyang Gyatso from the books and the Padala Palace from the photos. I'll be in Lhasa for 7 days. No fixed itinerary, just wandering around. If we can run into each other on the streets of Lhasa, I'll give you that chance. That day, Bella watched me board the train, then immediately turned around and bought a plane ticket. But I got off at an intermediate stop and, at that same station, bought a ticket for the next available train. That train's destination was Dalinga, a place I'd only ever heard of in poems. As the train slowly pulled away, the rugged, desolate landscape of the Northwest gradually emerged. During my 7 days in Dalinga, time passed slowly. The leisurely life loosened my very bones. On the evening of the 7th day, I was at a bonfire party hosted by the guesthouse owner when I got a call from Bella. She was sobbing on the other end. Daniel, I can't find you. I admitted it freely. I know. I never went. She asked me why. There's no why. Making that offer was just a whim. I never intended to turn a new page with her. Besides, a vacation is supposed to be happy, and I didn't want to run into trash. 7 years had already taught me she wasn't worth it. And this whole win back the wife cliché, where someone tramples on another's heart only to have a sudden change of heart, is disgusting. I said her name seriously. Bella, do you know why I told you to go to Lhasa? Because I know you have altitude sickness. I was hoping you'd die there. It would solve everything. Having been married to you is like having a criminal record. From now on, whether your life is good or bad, don't ever contact me again. I accept that I misjudged someone. I accept that I wasn't loved. I accept that my efforts were not returned, and that my sincerity had places it could not reach. What I have to do is accept my losses, pay the price, and get off the stage quickly. I won't trap myself in a dead-end prison. I will always believe in my own courage to start over. So tonight, in Dalinga, I wrote a sentence for myself. Today I walk past all the crooked roads from now on, My life is a wide, open path.